It is 1968 now, and everyone is plunging into the new year with renewed spirit, including these good people here at the Chicago offices of the Internal Revenue Services. Someone once said, there are only two things that are inevitable, taxes and death. It is a little bit hard to tell which one is the most unpleasant. Even those who don't complain about paying taxes hate the paperwork that goes along with it. This year, or each year, cut it.
Make it each year.
It is a little bit hard to tell which one is the most unpleasant.
A shot of us, all four of us on direct shot?
Yeah, wide shot.
No, there was no runoff.
Mr. Heath, you're at home today. Have you been relieved of your duties at the police department?
Yes, I have.
What did they say to you?
I was informed by the commander of the inspectional services division.
Let's take it again.
Whatever.
Let's take it again. We won't make you look bad. Let's.
The whole thing.
Tim?
Mr. Heath, you're at home today. Have you been relieved of your duties officially at the police department?
Wait, Tim.
Yes, I have.
No.
Okay,
Ask the
excuse me.
question, Tim.
Okay, let's cut right there.
Sure.
Mr. Heath, now that you have been relieved of your duties as a Chicago policeman, you were what, a policeman for 6 years?
Nearly 7 years.
Are you a Chicago resident?
Yes, I am.
He's the head of the police department. The superior officers had no knowledge of until now.
Well, any secret organization, I couldn't see how they could possibly have this until it was at such a point that some person or persons had exposed the group. This could happen in any city.
Who did expose the group?
I am not at liberty to say at this time.
But you do know.
Oh, I believe so.
Okay, Tim?
These fellas are in the entire country. We see the problem year by year becoming worse and worse. Each and every city may face the same crisis that Detroit faced. What shall we do when it happens? What can we do? Is there a need for an organization such as this? I certainly believe there is a need now.
The Klan has been slated as a hate group. Do you look at it that way?
The image of the Klan was not made by the Klan, it was made by others. The Klan, if anyone wanted to take enough time and interest, could possibly investigate, as I did, their background, such as their religious beliefs. These are, as far as I know, everyone that I've seen are extremely religious, patriotic, dedicated people.
Okay, Tim?
Mr. Heath, do you see that Chicago is running in? You mentioned that we're going to have trouble and growing trouble in, as far as racial trouble. Let's take it again.
Yeah.
What kind of trouble, Mr. Heath, do you think Chicago will have in this decade? What's left of it? Say in the coming year. Racial trouble.
Well, at the present trend, since 1964 and 5 and 6 and so on, we have seen the rioting and the peaceful demonstrations and the nonviolent demonstrations become violent. How many more cities must be burnt down? Chicago is an area unlike other allegedly ghettoized areas. Chicago's Negro population is spread out. The police department, I believe, from what I know of it, is undermanned to handle a situation that could grow into the full-scale riot such as Detroit had.
Okay, cue him. Tim. Okay, cue him. Oh.
You know, so that it comes right over the lens. Okay. Okay.
Hello?
May I help you, please?
Yes, sir.
May I help you, please?
Yes, I have a book here, which
Okay.
yes, I have a book which is maybe over. Yes, I have a book. I know it's been out quite a while, 1965. Is that quite a while?
About 3 years. Well, you see, we have a maximum fee of $1.80.
Yes.
So today, you know, there won't be any charge. And
So
you can
people
still return
come
books
down.
there.
You have apparently had a lot of people come down.
Oh, yes.
That's good, kind of sick.
Rolling. Rolling. I thought the other room was speaking with
Somebody speak.
You have taken a break, ladies, between your caucusing. Can you tell us, has there been any progress?
We always hope for progress. I think as long as one can sit at a table and talk to people across the table on a subject that's very controversial, hopefully agreement will be reached.
At what point are you now?
We are now at the point where the entire board, the board members, in addition to the negotiating team of the board, have now sat down and met with Mr. Desmond, the president of the teachers union, and his bargaining unit, and we have laid our cards on the table. I would say both sides of the table have done this.
Earlier, Mr. Desmond said that there was a $20 million gap between the union and the board. Is that gap still as wide?
Well, the fact of the matter is, that's why we're sitting in that room, to shorten that gap.
Have you had made any progress there?
As I said, there's always hope as long as we keep talking.
Would you say that a teacher strike is imminent?
I would certainly not even hope that it would be.
We would never imply that a teacher's strike is imminent. I think that this is something that the teachers themselves will have to decide, and we would hope that they would decide in the interest of the children and the city of Chicago not to strike.
What's the next step?
We'll resume discussions after the caucus.
Can you tell us if the union has come down on its demands or if the Board of Education has gone up on its offer?
Well, what we're trying to reach is just a reasonable answer to the problem of the gap between the Board of Education at the moment and the union.
Well, do you feel the board can afford to pay what the union is
Oh,
asking?
heavens,
No. I think that everyone realizes that, including the union. I'm sure that they have come to this understanding of our budget that we really do not have the kind of funds that they are talking about.
Are you too optimistic about the talks right now?
Must remember, too, that Mr. Desmond has to go back to his House of Representatives on Thursday evening, so that whatever agreement we might come to today, if we came to one, he would still have to present to his union.
I would like to say we all believe in the same things, the education of the children in Chicago. So on this subject, we are not far apart. We have the same hopes and aspirations of the teachers.
Well, the talks continue. Will the teachers continue to work without a contract?
Will the teachers continue to work without a contract?
Hope
Of
so.
course, yes. There would be no reason for them not to.
Thank you
All right.
Excellent for taking your time.
For the past few hours here at the Board of Education, for the past few hours in a smoke-filled conference room, a very small conference room here at the Board of Education, the bargaining committee of the Chicago Board of Education and the negotiating team for the Chicago, let's take it again. For the past few hours, in a small smoke-filled room here at the Board of Education, the Chicago Board of Education Bargaining Committee and the Chicago Teachers Union negotiating team have been talking. They're trying to reach agreement on a new contract. The contract was up Sunday, and now the bargaining has started. During a caucus, let's take it cut and change your focus, Bob. Okay. The negotiators continue to talk. The main issue is money. It is assumed that they will stay with the two sides continue to talk. The big issue is money. There is a split of about $100 in the request and the offer, and they will continue to talk. Tim Connor at the Board of Education. Okay. The two sides continue to talk. The Board of Education bargaining. Okay.
Went a little further in their headlines. Plan a tax raise.
Yeah, they did.
1, 2.
You or Chris said, I don't remember which, that there's a House of Representatives.
Off the record, I'm sorry to get you fellas up so early in the morning, but they precluded another time to do this job. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
I think we're all set.
All right.
I think you people are thoroughly cognizant that throughout America, and in particularly in the urban areas and in the large cities, that we have a problem with the public school systems. The problem is rather universal, and the within problem in each case is practically parallel one with the other city. You may recall that the Board of Education of the city of Chicago had indicated some time ago that the president of the board should appoint a committee of leading citizens to assist the board in the analyzation of its financial problems, to make recommendations to the board as to the solving of those problems and how they and we collectively could go about so doing. I have a list of those names. I'd like to read them to you. Essence is not complete. That it's the beginning list of outstanding citizens that we're asking to work with us, and as additional people whom I am now interviewing agree to come on, why I will submit their names also to the public. with reference to the meeting, the first meeting of this committee. I discussed the matter with Dr. Redmond yesterday, and I had intended to call a meeting next week, but because of our teacher labor negotiations and the budget, which we must pass by Wednesday of next week, the first meeting will be scheduled for the week after next. The date of that meeting has not as yet been set, but it will be in the next few days.
That's the week of the 8th.
No, it would not be the following week because we must pass our budget that week of the 8th on the 10th, which is a regular board meeting day. And until that time, we won't have a minute to spare to do anything.
Do you hope that this committee will establish a broad community support for greater financial aid to the schools?
Yes, sir. We hope that this committee will, after it has investigated and it has satisfied themselves as to the problems that confront the board, the financial needs and requirements that we have. As I say, the committee can be augmented by committees, subcommittees, perhaps in areas throughout the city. They will, I think, help guide their own destiny, but the problem in essence is theirs to help us directly.
What specifically will this committee
Committee, I would think, would analyze the program of Dr. Redmond that has been presented, the program that the Fiscal Policy Committee has been working on, and the need for funds to further that, the committee's recommendations and the superintendent's recommendations.
Mr. Wiston, at the last fiscal policies,
Well, that's beside the appointment of this committee and something that's not apropos to this meeting. I don't mind commenting on it afterwards, but I would like to stay on this phase of it at the moment, what this committee might be doing, and then I will answer your question.
Will this committee seek new sources of revenue, including new taxes?
I don't like to indicate what the committee will eventually do. I would assume that if they do not do so, that we're still in the financial bind that we now find ourselves, and it is for this reason, for the help and support and the guidance, and that we are asking this committee to work with us and help us.
What the offer to the union consists of?
that's not a part of negotiations, is it?
It would be.
The administrative rate?
It would be because it involves money, it involves financing, and as a result, and all of this involves financing, both the teachers, the principals, and other civil service people.
Pay to the teachers?
I prefer not to discuss that now because our program for presenting to the voters this 15 cents has not been entirely formulated, and I wouldn't like to comment on it now.
In other words, it won't necessarily be on the ballot in June? You said that was
No,
the
it will.
earliest.
I feel very definitely it'll be on the ballot in June.
Well, I really wanted you to, what you consider to be the attitude of the tax-paying public toward more taxes and teachers' pay increase.
I haven't tested it. I don't know.
Have you talked to anybody, taxpayer groups or anybody like that?
I have talked to groups. I have talked to individuals.
Well, what did they tell you?
That I don't care to comment on. You'd have yes and no, and that, my expression to you would be yes, some people are for and other people are against, but that's purely a minority group that I've been talking with and who have talked to me.
What is
to
your
express the opinion of the public.
What is your personal attitude about a tax hike just so you can give teachers a pay increase?
Well, the tax hike isn't just to give teachers alone a pay increase. There are other people in the system in addition to the teachers.
If the 15-cent increase is approved, would all the revenue from that be available for pay increases?
I think that is a matter of the policy that the board has not as yet worked out.
But there's no other commitment for that roughly $15 million at this point, is that right?
There's no commitment with reference to the 15 cents on either side at the present time.
When is the next item?
Is there any question in your mind, Mr. Whiston, but what the teachers deserve and will get a good substantial pay increase?
I think the teachers deserve an increase. I've stated that always, and that is my position. The question now is to find the money to grant it to them.
That's the only problem.
I would think so.
Can you give us copies of your committee?
Yes, I will.
Mr. Wisdom, I noticed you got about 3 labor members on that board, 3 clergymen and 1 civil rights worker. Why is the Blue Ribbon Committee made up of so few laboring people and so many
Mr. Heineman, do you feel that the money being spent on the welfare program now is being misused?
I would not want to say, on the basis of my present inadequate facts, something else, but misuse, I don't have any facts at the moment to suggest it.
What will be your first step as chairman of this commission?
I would think that the first step would be to convene the commission, discuss procedures, methods, and the like. Obtain a small but highly professional staff and start.
Go with it from there.
And
thank you very much, sir.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heineman. I appreciate it, sir. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Heineman, apparently the president... Okay, hold it. Mr. Heineman, do you feel that the money now being used for the welfare program is being misused, both by the government? Mr. Heineman, do you feel that the money being used for welfare now is being misused?
Do you want to ask it again?
Mr. Heineman, what do you hope that the outcome of your commission's work will be? Well, one thing is that it will do things.
Tim?
Thank you very much, sir. I've been talking to Ben W. Heineman, the busy chairman of the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad. Today, he is a busier man. He has been appointed by the President of the United States to head a special commission on maintenance welfare. I'm sorry, let's do it again. Income.
Surely. Anytime, Tim.
Thank you very much, sir. I've been talking to Mr. Benjamin W. Heineman, the busy chairman of the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad. Today, he became a busier man. He was appointed by the President of the United States to be chairman of the Special Commission on Income Maintenance. What this means is that Mr. Heineman and his commission will try to revamp the welfare program here in the United States. Tim Connor at the General Offices of the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad.
That's good, Tim. Good. Go, Tim.
Thank you very much, sir. I've been talking to Mr. Ben W. Heineman, the busy chairman of the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad. Today, he became a busier man. He was appointed to chair the Special Presidential Commission on the things that happen. Thank you very much, sir. I've been talking to Mr. Ben W. Heineman, the busy chairman of the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad. He became busier today. Come on, you guys. Thank you very much, sir. I've been talking to Ben W. Hyman. Oh, get it. You ready? Yeah. Behind this door sits the chairman. Wait a minute. Okay. No. Yeah. Come on. Okay.
Project. Okay, Tim.
Behind this door sits the busy chairman. The way my intro is into you, Mr. Coyle, will be, I'll say...
You don't have any runoffs, do you, Bob?
Yeah, I took about 10 feet.
Oh, okay. On my cue, Mr. Coyle.
This week, all taxpayers either have received or will receive their package of 1967 income tax returns, forms, and instructions. There are two new features in regard to this package. One is the fact that an envelope is enclosed which is addressed to the Internal Revenue Service Center, Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay. Bob.
This envelope should not be used if the return shows a tax due and a payment should be enclosed. Last year, we had 105,000.
Okay.
Last year, 105,000 tax returns were filed in the Chicago district, of which 70% were refund returns, which had erroneous or no Social Security numbers. As a result, these refund returns were delayed, the refunds were delayed from 6 to 8 weeks. This will not happen if the correct form is used, the form that is sent to the taxpayer. Stumbled there, but I guess...
It is 1968 now, and everyone is plunging into the new year with renewed spirit, including these good people. Let's do it again. Those new changes that Mr. Coyle explained should make things easier in filing our income tax returns this year. But as I sit here around all the paperwork, I reflect on one thing, that the invention of paper is far worse. No. These new changes should make things easier this year when you and I file our tax return. But, okay, these new changes should help us and make things easier when you and I file our income tax return this year. But as I sit here among all this paper,
Tim, I'm sorry.
these new changes should make things easier for you and me when we file our income tax return this year. But as I sit here among all this paper and reflect on the paperwork I have to do when I get home, I think back about what is far more... Jesus. These new changes should make things easier this year for you and me when we file our income tax return. But as I sit here among all this paperwork and think about the paperwork I have to do when I get home, I can't help reflect that the invention of paper is far worse than the invention of castor oil. Only castor oil only costs 60 cents a bottle. Tim Connor, the Chicago office of the Internal Revenue Service.
Okay.